Welcome to the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion Briefing for Wednesday, November 8th. This is Gina McGuire. Over the last 30 days, we've had very dry conditions over the southern half of the Great Basin, with little if any precipitation reported. Even precipitation that has occurred over northern areas up into Idaho and northern Nevada and the Sierra has been well below normal for the time of year, with the exception of the higher elevations of Wyoming and the central Idaho mountains, which has been near normal. If we look at the last snowfall over the last 72 hours, you can see the recent snowfall over the higher elevations of Idaho, Wyoming, and northern and northeast Utah, and you can see there's still quite a bit of snow on the ground at these higher elevations as well. Further south and west, very little snowfall has occurred, and even in the Sierra that had some snowfall prior to the last 72 hours, still has a little bit of snow left on the ground, but certainly less than what we're seeing in northern areas. The satellite loop from this morning shows the ridge of high pressure that brought some drier air to the Great Basin has now shifted to the east, and we have a stronger storm off the west coast with now increasing southwest flow across northern and western areas of the Great Basin, along with increasing cloud cover. We will see stronger winds associated with this area of low pressure as we go through the next couple of days, along with precipitation mainly focused in the northern half of the basin, with drier conditions still continuing over southern areas. Now, as we look at later in this afternoon, we can see this area of low pressure slowly moving towards the west coast, with again cloud cover and even some showers over parts of Idaho into far northwest Nevada and the Sierra, with still very dry conditions further south and east. Dispersion will remain quite poor across most areas of the Great Basin, as the winds will really only start picking up today over the Sierra into far western Nevada and far southwest Idaho. Looking at the transport winds and mixing height, you can see where these stronger winds will develop later today, again mainly tied to the Sierra crest and into the Sierra foothills and also into parts of the Snake River Plain of Idaho. Further east, very light winds will continue over the Arizona Strip, southern Nevada, and eastern Utah. Again, mixing heights will remain quite low in most areas with the exception of starting to increase where those winds will be increasing in the far west side of the basin. As we move into Thursday, this trough remains in place with continued breezy southwest flow and precipitation mainly focused to the northern areas of the Great Basin. However, winds will be increasing a little bit further east on Thursday. Therefore, we'll see better dispersion over much of Nevada and even into the Arizona Strip in southwest Utah and also the central Idaho mountains. You can see on Thursday these gusty winds do start to spread a little bit further east across much of Nevada, with gusts between 30 and 35 miles per hour, and the strongest winds that may increase above 40 or 45 miles per hour tied to the Sierra front and far northwest Nevada. Mixing heights will also be on the rise across the Great Basin. On Friday, this trough starts to swing a little bit further eastward across Idaho, and this will keep clouds and showers over mainly the northern third of the Great Basin, with continued drier conditions over southern areas. Winds will start to decrease on Friday, therefore dispersion will become a little bit more poor over much of Nevada and into Utah and Idaho, with the exception of far northern Nevada and potentially southern Utah. Looking at the winds on Friday, we see those winds pick up over southern Utah, which again will allow for increased dispersion in that area, along with far northwest Nevada. But really, as that trough swings through, winds will be decreasing across the majority of the region. Mixing heights will also remain moderate in most areas. Looking at the forecast clearing index for Utah, and you can see how the conditions change over the next few days with very low clearing indices statewide today, and then we will start to see those clearing indices rise significantly over especially the higher terrain of Utah on Thursday, and then really become more moderate in many areas across the state on Friday, with the exception of the northwest portion of the state. Looking at the overall forecast amount of precipitation over the next few days, and again, any precipitation is tied to the higher elevation of the Sierra in Northern California, and also up into the higher terrain of Wyoming and Idaho, with much lighter amounts in the lower elevations. As we move through the weekend, we'll have a brief ridge of high pressure move across the Great Basin, giving us a break in the weather with slightly warmer temperatures and dry conditions region-wide on Saturday. We'll also see somewhat good dispersion over the northern third of the area as winds still remain a little breezy, but poor dispersion over parts of the southern areas of the Great Basin with much lighter wind flow. As we move into Sunday, another trough of low pressure starts to drop south off the west coast, and this will allow winds to increase over far western and northern portions of the area with good dispersion mostly region-wide. We may have some cloud cover move into western and northern areas up into Idaho and western Nevada. However, most shower activity will likely hold off until Sunday night or Monday. As we move into Monday and this trough swings eastward, there's a better chance of showers and cooler temperatures over much of Idaho into northwest Nevada and the northern Sierra, and we'll also see dispersion decrease significantly in these areas. This system will be colder than what we will see this week, therefore we'll likely see snow drop down lower in elevation as we move into early next week. On Tuesday, that system swings east and still some showers lingering over the northern areas of the Great Basin with generally poor dispersion. However, dry conditions still linger over the southern half of the Great Basin into southern Nevada, the Arizona Strip, and southern Utah as we move through the next week. Overall forecast amount of precipitation as we move through this weekend into early next week, and you can see generally just light amounts of precipitation, especially up into the higher terrain of Wyoming and Idaho. However, we'll likely see greater chances of precipitation as we move through next week once again. Therefore, our 8 to 14 day outlook taking us through the second and third week of November shows below normal temperatures or near normal over the northern areas of the Great Basin with continued warm temperatures in the south, and also the best chance of above normal precipitation through mid-November will be over the northern third of the basin. That concludes our briefing. Check back on next Monday for the latest updates, as Friday is a holiday. Enjoy your weekend.